Speed. Good afternoon, 147.
Afternoon,
Welcome. And this is an important day for your families and for the community, obviously. This is not a mandatory formation, so I want to thank you all for showing up today. You know, we don't have that many days left until we leave. Every day is precious, and we appreciate the fact that you're coming out today and being with all these consistent Roberts County area. Attention roll. Staff Sergeant Dale Adams.
Here, First Sergeant.
Specialist Brandon Adams.
Here, First Sergeant.
Staff Sergeant William Andrews.
Here, First Sergeant.
Private First Class Daniel Warnight, accounted for. Sergeant Dustin Bragg.
Here, First Sergeant.
Specialist Lucas Brockhouse.
Here, First Sergeant.
Private First Class Justin Changu.
Here, First Sergeant.
Lieutenant Colonel David Chase.
Here, First Sergeant.
Sergeant Thomas Drum.
Here, First Sergeant.
Specialist Christopher Fisher.
Here, First Sergeant.
Private Zaid Gray.
Here, First Sergeant.
Captain David Pointis.
Here, First Sergeant.
Sergeant Jesse Holman.
Here, First Sergeant.
Sergeant Stephen Lewis.
Here, First Sergeant.
Specialist Seth Laurie.
Here, First Sergeant.
Specialist Bryce Pegler.
Here, First Sergeant.
Specialist Wade Powell. Accounted for. Staff Sergeant David Sire.
Here, First Sergeant.
Private First Class Brandon Snyder.
Here, First Sergeant.
Captain Keith Boss. Accounted for. Specialist Thomas Young.
Here, First Sergeant.
Hey. Wow, big crowd here today. First of all, I want to introduce myself. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dave Chase, grew up here in SISSETON. Originally joined the National Guard right here in that office about August 28th, 1981. And it's been a long ride, but as a battalion commander, it's my job to thank you for coming out today. Just really appreciate it. This is unbelievable show of support, and I can't thank everyone enough that's involved in this. A couple VIPs I need to introduce. Number one, retired First Sergeant Red Jensen. He was the first sergeant the first time Alpha Battery went over, and his counterpart, the right and left hand of the devil, retired Captain Lucas Lynch. And I can't introduce Lucas without telling a little story. I served with Lucas for a number of years. When he was a brand new lieutenant, he's cringing right now, and I'll be paying for this later. But he was up on the hill at Camp Ripley, and one of his tasks was to set up a tent. And he got everything laid out. You know, some poles were too long. He had a GP small, which is a general purpose small tent, but he had poles for a GP medium. So being a field expedient young lieutenant, he got out a hatchet and he chopped the ends of the poles off so that they were the right length for the smaller tent. Well, needless to say, there's a little thing we have called willful destruction of property and report a survey, all those things that go with it. And I remember Lieutenant Lynch telling me the story. He goes, geez, I didn't know I was going to get that much trouble. And he said, I think I can get out of this one. And I said, you know, if you can pull this off, you should be a professional politician. By the way, he's the executive director of the Republican Party of South Dakota. So when you say that the Guard shapes your life, there's a perfect example right there. But Lucas, I couldn't let you off the hook on that one. But thanks for your service. Yes, I took a few notes. I just don't want to miss anything. As I mentioned, I've been doing this for a long time, about 28 years. And I still remember when I joined, I was kind of on the fence, 18 years old, knew everything. And what kind of pushed me over is my brother Brian came home from basic training, skinhead, had all this neat equipment, had his hand grenade pin, and talked like a drill sergeant. And about 3 days later, I came down and raised my right hand, swore to defend the Constitution of the United States and worked for the governor of the great state of South Dakota. And I went home and I remember telling my dad, apparently I've just taken a government job. So he said the rest is history. And back in those days, when you initially signed up, I signed up for 6 years. When you're 18, that's a third of your life. And it seems like that's going to take forever for that time to go by. And it's amazing. It seemed like 2 weeks later, I'm signing up for my second 6 years. And it just seemed like, you know, it was the right thing to do. And there again, 20 years later, here I am. And to say with all these guys, I want to thank you guys for serving, for what you do. Just a show of hands, how many are on your second trip? All right, give these guys a hand. Good group of people. The other thing with the community of SISSETON is really lucky, is we have the best family support group in the United States. And Tammy Chase, my sister-in-law, Marie Tammy, she's the lead volunteer for the 1st Battalion and lives right here in town. So, as we like to say, we'll take care of the soldiers. We're going to train them for that mission, we're going to accomplish that mission, and we're going to bring everybody home. She's going to take care of you guys. It's very important as we go forward, just like any other organization, the military has a chain of command. In other words, it goes from the lowest soldier all the way as far up as it has to. Hopefully it doesn't need to get to my level too often. But the Family Volunteer Network works the same way. When we get in country and we get on our mission, we're going to have an extremely busy mission. We need to be able to focus on that and not have a lot of distractions and so forth. So when there's communication from the families, it really needs to go through that network so that we keep our soldiers focused on the job at hand. I remember years ago, Colonel Marlette said, you know, we can't help you if the lawnmower doesn't start or the eaves troughs are plugged. All that's going to do is get that soldier over there thinking about those things. So it's really important that you help each other out and like I said, work that communication through Tammy. But again, fantastic support. I'm sure everything is going to be fine. Okay. Talk a little bit about our mission. I don't know what you've heard through the rumor mill. Basically, we have a security force mission. There's 2 ports in country where all of the material for the war effort for both Afghanistan and in Iraq goes through 2 ports. And we have a security mission for both of those ports. So it is a big mission, and again, we have to stay focused. And as time passes, things are going to change. There might be a drawdown involved. We're going to be probably the busiest unit in the country. So again, focus is extremely important. So we're going to probably come back pretty tired when we get back in country, and hopefully next April. So without involving too much, that's what our mission is going to be, keeping those ports secure so that flow of material can come into the country and go where it's needed in both Iraq and Afghanistan. With that, we have a security mission for Southern Kuwait and what's called an ARF, Area Reaction Force, which Sergeant Dave Sire is going to be in charge of that. It's also my personal security detail, so glad to have him on board. But we've been having a lot of fun with that. Again, moving forward, I know it's going to be a long year for all of us, and just the most important thing, like I said, we're taking care of the soldiers. You can know that they're taken care of. But when it comes to the home front, it's about community and helping each other out. And I live in Washington, and we get to see that firsthand. Right now we have 250 National Guardmen from South Dakota up in Fargo helping those folks. And we see that flood every day, and if you haven't been watching the news, or if you've been watching the news at all, you know Fargo is getting flooded extremely seriously right now, and it's going to be going on for several days. And I always think that's kind of neat, because when you look at the national spotlight, let's contrast that with what happened in Katrina. You know, you don't see people breaking into Walmarts and looting, and it's all about the community pulling together, and that's why we're in the Midwest, and that's why we live here. So, again, I want to thank everybody for what you do, and looking forward to getting over there and knocking this one out and getting back home. All right? Okay. All right, Warriors, let's rock. Let's go! First sergeant.
B. Rest. All right, I put him at rest because this is going to be the receiving line. This will be your opportunity to go through the line. I'll start from this side and wish them well, greet them, and hopefully thank them for their service. So after that, looks like the ladies have got a ton of goodies for us, and we're all waiting to do that. So thank you again for coming, and go ahead and start your